Chair now recognizes Mr. Langworthy from New York.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the Administrator being here with us today, and I'd like to discuss the EPA's recent final rule entitled Standards of Performance for New, Reconstructed, and Modified Sources and Emissions Guidelines for Existing Sources, Oil and Natural Gas Sector Climate Review. It's no secret that the final rule will have a severe impact on more than 700,000 marginal oil and gas wells throughout the United States, including wells operated by small-scale operators in my own district in the southern tier of New York. Administrator, prior rules acknowledge the need for accommodations for marginal wells. This rule should have done the same. Did EPA consider the vast differences between a marginal well operation and high-volume well operations when crafting this rule?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And now under this rule, the EPA is providing no more than a 36-month regulatory compliance timeline for the oil and gas operators. Administrator Regan, you know as well as I do that the small-scale, family-owned marginal well operators will be seriously stretched in their ability to meet the new tranche of requirements that your agency's meeting out for them under this requirement. Have you considered extending the timeline to at least accommodate the smaller well operators who, as you know, operate with fewer resources at their disposal?
I believe that has been up for discussion, and we'll circle with you to see where that conversation lands.
Okay, that would be very helpful. Look, I've had some very frank conversations with the oil and gas operators in my district, and these are all on the smaller scale, often family-owned operations, and they provide crucial employment and economic activity in the southern tier, as well as contribute to our nation's energy needs. 20 years ago, the federal and state regulatory burden facing these operators could fit in a small packet of paper. Today, it's practically a phone book. Is with much of what the EPA has done under this and former administrators to hamstring our energy producers, this rulemaking is unacceptable. But I want to shift topics and briefly discuss EPA's recent greenhouse gas emission standards for heavy-duty vehicles, the Phase 3 final rule. Heavy vehicles included in this rule serve dual purposes through the winter season in the Northeast. Many snowplows fall under this. In fact, it was the New York City Department of Sanitation who purchased several electric trucks to serve double duty as garbage trucks and snow removal plows, and the result is that they were removed from the street very quickly. The commissioner of the New York City Department of Sanitation said during a city council hearing in November of 22 that we need them to go 12 hours a day. So I don't see today, given the current state of technology, that a path forward to fully electrifying the rear loader portion of the fleet by 2040. Administrator, New York City's electric snowplow experiment failed, yet the EPA has continued to enforce several rules for vehicles that serve as snowplows in the winter. How do you expect plow operators in a place like Buffalo, New York, to remove 8 feet of snow during our next major disaster if electric snowplows can't last more than 3 hours with a foot of snow?
Well, I think that we have taken into consideration when and where and how these vehicles perform the best. And I think as these technologies continue to evolve, we'll see these technologies expand in areas that, quite frankly, they're seeing some challenges now. When we looked at this rule nationally, and we looked at the opportunities and talked with the OEMs, they gave us assurances that these vehicles could perform for their customers, which is why many of them stood with us when we issued the rule.
Yeah, you're using technological wish list that doesn't exist. In severe weather places like what I represent in Buffalo, New York, and the surrounding areas have much higher snowfalls than others. And to meet these guidelines is just completely unrealistic given today's technology. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to finish by saying this. The EPA has claimed over and over that its policies are in line with the original bipartisan mission of the agency. However, I don't believe that could be further from the truth. Under the direction of your department, Administrator, you've cost the American people trillions of dollars. You've hurt small businesses, and you've put the lives of millions of Americans in jeopardy, all in the name of climate virtue signaling. And we see it with the onslaught of regulations that have been handed down, affecting everyone from oil and gas operators to small and medium-sized communities just looking to remove snow from their streets to keep their public safe. I look forward to working with my colleagues on this committee to continue to push for greater accountability for these absurd policy priorities of your agency. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back.